So what you have to do, the secret sauce, if you want to make 1,000 horsepower on a B Series, you have to get the PPG dog box. You have to get the Speed Factory billet aluminum inner casing. You have to source an outer casing for a B Series 5-speed all-wheel drive. And then you have to connect it with the transfer case, also Speed Factory billet, right? Mm-hmm. So we have all these mudded parts together, and they don't like to play nice. So it's a series of shims that you have to run in there, and I think
Hey guys, Elzaya from SOHO Podcast. Today we have Kirby on the pod from Best Damn Powder Coating. Kirby, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, my name's Chris Kirby. I'm owner-operator at Best Damn Powder Coating. We do automotive, performance coatings, high-temp ceramic coating, valve covers, headers, cold side, hot side, turbocharger parts. If you name it and it is made of metal, we will coat it.
So Kirby's been a client with us for
5 years?
5 years now?
Yep.
And he's
5, 6, something like that.
Yeah. So what car did you originally bring here?
I first showed up with my R32 GTR, brought it in, and you just want to make sure that it's running properly. You don't know. I never could figure out the difference between fuels in Japan and America, and I wanted to make sure while I was just beating on it a little bit that it was doing what it needed to do. So I brought it to Nick, and he put a tune on it through the Haltech, and made sure everything was the way it needed to be.
Mm-hmm. So when you first came here, you came here with your GTR, and then you have a couple other Nissan cars as well?
I do. So me and my wife, she has a R33 GTR as well. I have the R32, and she has a 91 Nissan Silvia. I think that's all the Nissans.
You have a huge car collection.
I have a decent sized car collection.
They're all really nice. Do you want to tell like the viewers about like your background in cars and how you got started on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So how far back do you want me to go back into all the crap that I said before we started recording? Because that was a spiel, and if you want me to go through the whole spiel again, I will. But if that's too much, then
no, that's completely fine.
I'm going to let y'all dictate how much time I take up.
Tell us about what got you into cars.
All right, so the thing that got me into cars was I kind of got a car I didn't want, and I didn't know much about cars prior to getting that car. Mm-hmm. But, I was lucky enough to have parents that got me a car, you know what I mean? But then I got in the car and I didn't really like it. It was a 96 automatic Mustang, and it was slow, and you start to hook the car up, and then you realize that certain platform is a dead end.
Yeah.
Being 16 and no knowledge about cars, it was already fuel injected. They came that way. I couldn't swap a motor out back then. You couldn't afford it. 16 years old, you got to work with what you got. Mm-hmm. So my brother had totaled his Mustang. That's how I ended up in a V6. He had a GT. Mm-hmm. He put nitrous on it, destroyed it, almost killed himself. So when it was my turn to get a car, guess what? Automatic V6. They got me the slowest version that they could find. It was intentional. But I finally convinced them that I wanted something else, and they got on board with it. And that's when I fell into a 94 Integra. Mm-hmm. I fell in love with the chassis, not knowing what it was. My buddy's big brother in 98 had a J-spec front end on a 94, which was unheard of back then. Mm-hmm. I think that front end had only existed the front end only been out for 4 years in Japan only, so to see a JDM front end on a US spec Integra back then was just unheard of. I know what I was looking at when I saw it. I had to chase my buddy down, find out what car it was, and honestly I've been attempting to recreate that car my entire youth. You know what I mean? So sourced a 94, my mom did, we sold the Mustang, and she helped me get the new car. And it's just been downhill since then, man. The only reason I ever got a job, went to work, spend money on cars.
Yeah.
You grow up, you got to move out, pay your rent, eat ramen noodles, man. It's time to spend money on cars. I did a 70-hour work week one week, and my boss handed me $1,000. Mm-hmm. We worked really hard, got that money, left on Friday, went to shop on Saturday, spent $900 on a turbocharger. Showed up to work Monday morning, had to borrow $100 to eat lunch. So, and I've just been doing that continually. That's my driving force to go to work. I was like, man, got to get that race car money.
Yeah, I got to.
Yep. So over the years, I've just added to the collection as I could. Mm-hmm. sold a couple that I miss, but all in all, it's been good moves.
So after that car, what car did you get into, or what got you into like Nissans?
All right, so I was in the Integra. I had a couple other beaters after that, but nothing substantial. Let's see. Got off work, same boss man. Got off work, and we used to stop by this place called O'Charlie's. It was in Monroe. And we pull up, and there's a 91 240SX, the burgundy one, the coupe. They're all burgundy. You know what I mean? All the coupes are. And there was a for sale sign in the back of it, and it said for sale 180. No, it wasn't 180. It said for sale 240Z. That's what it said. And I was like, that's 240SX. I was like, and this guy doesn't know what he drives. I was like, so I'm willing to bet I can get a still on. He was parked in the to-go spot. So I sat there in the back of the boss man's truck and waited for dude to walk out. And he walked out, and I was like, man, what do you want for the car? He's like, $800. I was like, I will see you tonight. So I went inside and got my boss. I was like, I got to go to the bank right now. Went and picked up the 240. And it was a dual cam car. It ran well. It wasn't messed up. It was just all original 5-speed KA car. That car probably go for $5,000-$6,000 today.
Oh, yeah.
And it smoked. That's how you knew that it needed oil, is it wasn't smoking anymore. But dude, I drove that car for 2 or 3 years, and I would slide it around, you know, donuts in the rain. I never did much to it, but that's my first Nissan when I kind of was like, all right, rear wheel drive is a good time. Because up until that point, it was all front wheel drive. So unfortunately, I had to part with that car to start my construction business. And I had a buddy that was trying to sell. It was a S15, but not the cool one you're thinking of. It was a GMC S15 truck, basically long bed S10. And so I was able to trade him straight up for this dogged out 240 for a work truck. And I drove that truck for 3 or 4 years until the engine blew up, made me a lot of money, and it helped me to, you know, move forward in life. But that was my first Nissan. Let's see, I owned a couple of 240s after that.
You like the 240 platform?
Dude, I love the 240 platform. I don't love what it costs now. Like, you almost can't afford to get into one affordably. Dude, I'm talking like if you find a $2,000 roller, you've done well.
Yeah.
We're talking no interior, no drivetrain, engine harnesses, trash, rust, pinch welds are folded over. $2,000, I know what I got. And it is a good deal now. But love the 240 platform. My wife has a S13 Sylvia, and I always said it was funny. I own several of these cars. I had one that I put an LS in. I had one that I RB25 swapped. I had a couple of KAs, a single cam, and my wife has managed to have the best one. Like, I worked my butt off on 240s and swapping them, and then she goes out and just gets the cleanest one, JDM. She has really good taste. She has these baller wheels on there. It sits perfectly, and I was like, man, that's how that goes, you know?
So with the 240, you said that you did a little bit of drifting, and I think I seen you do a little bit of drag stuff in the GTR. So
yeah.
There's all these different like motorsport platforms. What is like your go-to? Because there's also cars. I seen you do car show stuff as well too.
So I will say that we no longer participate in the car show stuff.
Oh, okay.
You go to enough indoor car shows and you get trapped there. One day you're like, I'm never going back again, ever. We had an unfortunate experience at a car show that will not be named, but it was just it was a very off-putting situation for us to be there, and like the actual show, how it was being. I don't know. I don't want to get into any negative, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was just a really bad experience across the board, and me and my wife were both like, dude, we just can't do this anymore, you know? And so we don't do the indoor car shows. Any of the big ones, you know what I mean? We do go to support certain things though. So we do attend Bumpers for Boobies every year. We go to that and set up our booth, and we do, we each bring out a car. That's for a good cause. It's breast cancer awareness.
Okay.
So we like to go out and support things like that. She's a part of a animal rescue called Catering to Cats and Dogs. If they're doing something or we can help participate and draw attention with the vehicles that way, we attend those. But that's about the extent of it now. Yeah, I guess I haven't taken the GTR to the drag strip in a while, but it's only because the RB is a very expensive platform to work on.
Correct.
And in their stock form, they have just a butt ton of issues. They have oiling issues. The actual oil pump gear itself is crap. You can't two-step or limiter the first generation RB26, or you will shatter your oil pump gear.
Really?
Yeah, so trying to build boost off the line is almost the impossible task, and the car being all-wheel drive will just bog. So like you can unplug a fuse in the R32s and it becomes a rear-wheel drive, but I don't want to launch my car that way because I don't want it to get sideways squirrely and hurt the car. At the same time, I just like to drive it when I drive it. I don't really want to abuse it. Maybe one day I'll get into building the GTR, but for right now, I'm stretched pretty thin on my car projects already, so I kind of decided that if I was going to build a car that was potentially going to get hurt or destroyed, I was going to do the Integra chassis.
Tell us about because I know you said that you still have that original Integra. Tell us about that build and what do you have planned for it?
Yep, so let's see, I got that car 16 and a half, 17, 41, so how many years is that? 16, go 26, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. Had the car for 25 years now. And it started off as a black with tan interior. I'm having trouble remembering. Black tan interior LS car with the bug eyes. And at some point I was able to get the JDM front end. I pieced that together, B16 head, turboed it, did a light build, just Wise Co's and Eagles in the bottom, valve train work and Type R cams, about 14 pounds of boost, very small precision turbo. Man, I can tell you for certain, I've had that car at multiple power levels, and the most fun that car was at around 270. The turbo spooled quickly, it was manageable, and you could drive the car, it was fun. So I bumped it up after that. So hard to remember the details, but I think I bumped it up to around 400. And I know that you can make those cars work at 400 very well, but if you just go from 270 to 400, it gets a little unruly being in front wheel drive. Like, I know that you can add traction bars or things to that extent to get the car to track better, but I still had the same little bitty turbo and it maxed out at around like 370, 400 somewhere in there. And it was so aggressive, like it even scared my tuner the first time he tuned it at the higher level because it built boost so fast. Like he came off real hard and had big eyes and I was like, is my motor done? And he was like, no, man. He's like, I've just never seen one spool that quick. Going back to my construction days, remember I told you that I bought that turbo with my entire paycheck and had 8 ramen noodles for the following week?
Yeah.
So I ordered a Precision SC60 ball bearing turbo. I pre-ordered. I had to wait like 2 or 3 weeks for it to ship, and it was because back then, once again, attesting to my age, no one knew who Precision was. Precision didn't even have the names on their turbos. It was so old. They were only in the hot side. Like cold side Precision didn't say Precision on it. And I had Gen 1 SC60 ball bearing turbo. Back then, it came with this manila envelope looking warranty card, and my warranty card was for turbocharger 000000001.
Really?
Yeah, and dude, this thing was unstoppable. It was a tank-like little turbo. It's still on my buddy's car. So my buddy got married, and I had that turbo kit laying around for a long time, and I just surprised him because he had an Integra, and I was like, congratulations, you're a turbo guy now, dude. I gave him the ECU, the injectors, the whole nine, and that thing's still kicking it. But the SC60, I think they had a 57 trim too. I might have had that one, but they were punchy, dude. And it would come on so fast that you almost couldn't control it. And I had a limited slip in the car, and just, dude, when it hit, if it wanted to go one way or the other, the car was changing lanes. And like you were having to sit there and counter steer. So like we were on the way to a car show one day, and my buddy Will has an 89 Prelude original B20, B21 motor. It looks like the H22 Tilt, but it's a B series. And he turboed that weird motor. And then I have my other buddy, he's in a 99 GSR. He was built GSR. And so we're all just being younger and I hit mine hard and I went around Will on accident. And my wife was sitting beside me and she was like, man, she's like, you changed lanes aggressively. I was like, yeah, I did. I didn't tell her. I was like, in my head, I was like, all right. I was like, I got to do something with this car.
Yeah.
Because it was a little much. And what I ended up doing, what anybody would do, I took the car apart and I was like, I'm just going to build it for more power and then address my torque steering issues once I get more power. You know, why not? Something's wrong, babe. I gotta get back in there. But we went through that form of the car, and now it's been apart for a long time now. But what I'm currently getting into with it is we've converted to all-wheel drive. That's the big thing with Honda now.
Oh yeah.
We're all-wheel drive now. I have stayed B series, which against my Honda tuner and builder's recommendation just to go K series, I was like, nah, man. I was like, I'm a B series guy. Like, I'm gonna stay B. And it has been a little more costly, and they are fewer and far between to find people who are actually, I don't want to say capable. What's the word I'm looking for?
Like experts?
They feel sure about it, confident. It's hard to find people that are confident to assemble the PPG dog boxes. So what you have to do, the secret sauce, if you want to make 1,000 horsepower on a B series, you have to get the PPG dog box. You have to get the Speed Factory billet aluminum inner casing. You have to source an outer casing for a B series 5-speed all-wheel drive. And then you have to connect it with the transfer case, also Speed Factory billet, right? So we have all these mudded parts together, and they don't like to play nice. So it's a series of shims that you have to run in there, and I think they're talking like 16 shims in this transmission to get longevity. So there's a handful of guys that can do it. One of the guys is in Texas, and he stays busy. And on top of that, when I finally got to where I needed to get mine put together, he was moving shops. So we have finally found a guy that's very confident. He's built several. They're on multiple seasons. Transmissions are holding together. But what you're seeing right now on Facebook is a lot of people are selling these transmissions awfully cheap for what they are. You know what I mean? Like, I think you're around $13,000 to $15,000 if you buy brand new parts and get it all together. And you're seeing them start to go off around like $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, and it's because people know that they're sitting on ticking time bombs.
Really?
Yep. And so it's very important if you want to get into the PPG setup. There's a GearX setup that's a little more forgiving, but it's only rated for like $700 to $800, I believe. And so if you want to push over that and be confident, you have to go with the PPG. So we're going down that path right now. My motor has been done. It's at my engine builder's shop, and the transmission is finally on its last leg of being complete. We had to source a bunch of hard to find brand new old Honda parts, bearings, whatever they need. I don't know how to put this thing together. So I think I'm within like a month or two from getting this thing back, and I'll have a full drivetrain ready to go back into the car. So kind of where my head's at with this car is it's never going to see the street again. It's going to be a dedicated track car. So we got the roll cage, the wide front end, the weld slicks on all four corners, and that's the route I'm taking with that car. I always just wanted a car like a purpose-built race car, you know? You go out, if the car gets hurt, it's going to get hurt. It's not a big deal. It's what you signed up for. And seeing as how I've had the car so long, and I've totaled that car 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Because I was an idiot when I was a kid, you know? Dude, I smacked it into a guardrail. I drove it through a ditch. I TP'd the radiator support. I caved in the rear quarter. Like, man, I don't have to worry about hurting it anymore. You know what I mean? I'm like, we will rebuild. We will come back. And so, like I said, going back to the GTR thing, I was really, and still am hesitant to build that car just because I got into the GTR game cheap, dude. And it's doubled since then. Like, especially the R32 chassis, interestingly enough. So when they dropped, they were around 24 to 27, right? You could get a good one for that. I think maybe even a little cheaper the first year. 89 was the first year that they made the R32, so plus 25 years, we could get them here. So when they came out, they were affordable-ish. And dude, I'm seeing them go off now for double that. Like they've reached to a point of R33 prices, which I love all of them. I don't have a favorite. I mean, I'm gonna say R32 just because I own one, because you have to. And they're like, oh man, R32 for life because I own that car. But there are more of them. Every time they released a GTR, 32, 33, and 34, they made less. And so it just makes sense that as you go up, they would be more valuable. But somehow the 32 has climbed to be almost 33 prices, and in some cases even higher. So that doesn't make sense to me, but since I'm sitting on one, it's not something that I want to be reckless with. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So, and people will say, nah, man, you got to get out there and enjoy the car. But I'm like, I got other cars.
Yeah.
You know, like this one, I get out and you pull it out, hits boost, you enjoy it, makes all the good noises, you get your GTR fanboys. They always expect it to make 1,000 horsepower. If it doesn't make 1,000 horsepower, then what am I doing with my life? And you're like, but it doesn't make 1,000. You're like, but you know, they're fun cars. So
you just like to take that car out here and there and then just enjoy it.
Dude, I'm embarrassed to say, but I don't even have a battery for that car right now.
Really?
Yep. So, not including the work truck. Yeah, it's bad. I have 10 cars. So, what I have to do is the biggest challenge in having 10 cars, besides keeping the oil changed, tires rotated, batteries. Yep. So I bought the little maintainers, and we had a thunderstorm, and dude, it didn't even turn the power off. Lights flickered, every dang one fried. Yeah. Like I had, and it has an inline fuse, it has a breaker on it. And it's still like, it didn't blow the fuse, and it didn't pop the breaker, but they just stopped working. And I unplugged it one day and plugged it back in. One of them smelled burning plastic from inside immediately. So like I need to get a better tender set up. But yeah, so I went out. A lot of the times when I want to drive a car, I have to pregame for it.
Yeah.
I have to go out and get my my battery box the night before and set it on trickle charge just to make sure it wants to do what it wants to do. I did that last night because I wanted to drive my Type R up here.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. And I actually hooked it up and it was reading that the battery was charged. I was like, no way. I was like, we're going to charge you anyways.
Yeah.
But yep, that's the biggest thing of having multiple cars, dude, is trying to have the battery ready to go.
And maintaining them all.
Man, it's tough. Especially like, so my wife has multiple cars too. That's when I say I have 10 cars, I mean we have 10 cars. Like, so I'll get a car, she'll get a car. This is my turn to get a car, and it's her turn to get a car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She actually got me the Integra Type R last year for my birthday. She drove down to Virginia the day before. She told me that she was going to the mall with her mom. And I was like, South must be nice, you know what I mean? It's like I'm sitting there working, I'm covered in powder coat, I'm sweating, it's hot. There's no air conditioning in powder coating. And she was like, yeah, me and my mom are gonna go out to dinner now. And I was like, cool, so no dinner either. All right, this is great. This is great for me. But we were having a little birthday party for my 40th birthday. And she was like, all right, I got you something. And I was like, you know, she always gets me something decent, like new shoes or like something. But I walked outside and there was an Integra Type R sitting there with the bow on. And she knew, like, I've been talking about Integras my entire life. Like the one that I have that I'm making a drag car. Dude, I did everything that I could to make it a Type R replica. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, but there's the real deal. It was the car I was chasing my entire life.
Yeah.
And so that was a big day for me. But yeah, so we got the drag car going down. Right now, I got her Sylvia apart. She started to have a misfire on her Sylvia, and I did what any guy would do. I started throwing money at the thing.
Yeah.
It must be this. We did fuel pump. Dylan hooked me up with a set of 370Z smart coils. We did the igniter delete. Dylan tried to help me out with it with his spare time as he could. You know, he's a busy man. But he tried to help me, God bless him. I kept throwing parts at it. And if you've ever worked on an OBDO vehicle and did the little jumper to flash at you, oh, so defeating, dude. You're like, that's a code 32. What is a code 32? That's a general misfire. You're like, thanks. You know, you're like, no way, bro.
Yeah.
No way, bro. So after spending money on new injectors, new fuel pump, every plastic rubber line I could get my hands on, all the stuff Dylan threw money at, in my head, I came to the decision that it was the mass airflow was not communicating with the ECU anymore properly. I had a mass airflow problem with my RB 240 back in the day. What I did to it is the ground had stopped communicating with the ECU. So luckily I was able to pull the ground off and ground it to the chassis, and it cleaned the car up. But no such luck with the Sylvia. So I'm at the end of that right now. We converted to a top mount precision, and we got an Elite 1500. So the good news is even if I didn't fix the issue, the new ECU will tell me
what the issue is.
Yeah, because I had an issue with the R32, and I brought it up here, and it was giving us problems. And I got the car back, but I finally got it to store the error. You know what I mean? Like, you'd be ripping the car, and it'd be running really good. Like power loss.